earth was a plane. I laughed just a little, thought it was insane. The more that I listened, the more it made sense. My heart, it was pounding, my feelings intense. The earth, it stopped spinning. A voice softly said, the ball is dead. The ball is dead. I started researching all over the net for proof of the space ball. I ain't found none yet. I kept on searching, but all that I found was fakeness of footage and proof of flat ground. My mother, she asked me, do I feel okay? I turned to her sharply and heard myself say, the earth, it's not spinning. My eyes, they turned red. The ball is dead. The ball is dead. Here in my bedroom, alone with my thoughts of CGI pictures and fake astronauts. Ships on the horizon, sunrise and sunset. They had me imprisoned, but they ain't won yet. I felt the power of truth over lies. A huge weight was lifted. I dried my wet eyes. I'll never stay quiet. The truth I will spread. The ball is dead. The ball is dead. Early one morning, with time to kill, I walked a small distance and stood on a hill. I looked all around me, I could see for miles. My shoulders felt lighter, I started to smile. Within me a stillness that I've never felt. The whole time before me, my heart, it did melt. I love this creation, and softly I said, the ball is dead. The ball is dead. The ball is dead. The ball is dead.
So that was The Ball is Dead. If you didn't guess what the title was, I will include a description in the box below, and everybody, if they want to head on over and listen to that again, the channel link will be for everybody to see. Adam, are you there?
Yep. Evening.
Evening. Welcome to Aftermath 2.
Part 2.
Part 2. So, we've had an interesting week. That's for sure. We've had, let's see, who've we had on? We've had Nathan Oakley on, we've had BM Furball on, Crow XE and Right the Hand. Now, the funny thing about this is we've had 2 flat earthers and 2 globe earthers, yet it hasn't gone the way I kind of thought it would go. I mean, I thought it would be flat earther against the globe model, not really flat earther against flat earther, which is what we had last night.
Well, yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that. They weren't debating the shape of the Earth. They were debating quantum mechanics. So
I agree. I mean, if it was ever going to come down to a first ever debate, I actually had a feeling it was going to be globe earther against flat earther. I didn't actually think that there was a possibility it could have been flat earther against flat earther, but I suppose that's the format of the show, really. I mean, I never really thought of it in the terms of there are so many different beliefs in the flat earth argument, and two different camps inside flat earth as well as the globe earth as well. So in effect it's like you'd have flat earth, globe earth, concave, because there's many different facets inside the flat earth. Would you agree with that?
That's what I'm making, really. There's nothing wrong with a bit of debate, especially in areas where there isn't, or even in the mainstream, those two opinions last night, there would be equivalents. This debate isn't just going off in flat earth, it's going off across the physics world, isn't it, that particular one? So it's not exclusive, so it's good to see it's there. We're getting a debate then. Is QE gonna? Are we gonna have a rumble? Are we gonna have the first rumble?
Well. QE did send me a message after my very first show saying that within 10 minutes of doing a presentation, he would be able to debunk anybody, and he would be able to put a presentation immediately together. And I was to, if I wanted to, get him on straight after and do it like a show immediately after, which I didn't actually want to do, but I was surprised when I actually mentioned it to QE and said, hey, you've seen Right the Hand, he's done a video and he's actually calling you out. Would you be willing to take him up on, a rebuttal or whatever? And he didn't want to do it. So so as far as I know, I mean, that's his position so far. So I mean, if it changes in the future, who knows? However, we do have an able deputy stepping into his rather big shoes to defend his honour. So somebody will be taking his place to rebut Right the Hand, and that will be tomorrow at 6 p.m. BST. We are going to get, are you ready for this?
Pray tell, what gallant knight?
The gallant knight
defend Sir John's honour.
Well, Sir John sitting in the audience, and the gallant knight riding in on the horse is none other than Brenda von Assen. So Brenda will be valiantly defending John's honour and rebutting Right the Hand tomorrow, 6 p.m. BST. So, yes, that's very interesting. Tell me, logical fallacies. Back on track, Nathan Oakley.
I don't know, I had to use the global mute button there when you told me.
So, Nathan Oakley with these logical fallacies, yeah.
I kind of obviously knew that Nathan had already been crying shy of the amount of work to do, and to be fair, John did a great job. And I don't think Nathan. I saw some of the comments like Nathan's trying to nick credit. I mean, it was quite clear what it was. John had done the work, and that's how it was. And Nathan, and I thought it was quite good. It was just a little double act. Not what you planned, dude. But I don't think it was purported to be anything other than what it was.
Well, yeah, I mean,
they discussed, which I thought was quite a nice takedown of it. So.
Well, the thing was, I mean, it was a bit last minute, really, because, for instance, tomorrow we've got Brenda coming on at 6 p.m. However, I already had scheduled a show with somebody else who let me down a couple of days ago, so I had time to find a replacement. So these sort of things happen. You'll book someone in and you think you've got a full week booked, and then somebody will let you down, or they can't make it at that certain time, and so you're left scratching around trying to find someone. In this particular case, I mean, Nathan was holding his hands up. Yes, please, he wanted to do a presentation, which was great. The problem was he only had 24 hours or so to actually get the presentation done, and what with, like you say, is scheduling on the show, his own show, it left him a little bit short. And I know that he had done a presentation, but it was only for like 10 minutes. But of course, you know what Quantum's like. He probably stopped the video every 10 seconds and made notes, And of course, when it came down to the amount of logical fallacies, I mean, what were we closing in on? Nearly 100, was it? Apparently.
It was 90 word it. It's,
yeah. Well,
no,
I mean,
like I say, for what it was, I thought it was a good show. It was a good double act analysis of it. And like I say, he did. To be fair to John, he is, if nothing but thorough.
Yeah.
And to go through all that and to count that did make me chuckle.
I mean, the one thing you can't take away from John is his work ethic. When he goes in to do something and to do it, he puts a lot of effort into it. You could clearly tell that he'd put a lot of time and effort in work into doing that presentation. And I know that he didn't even want to do it and present it as his own. From what Nathan tells me, he actually wanted Nathan to present. Obviously, it would be a QE presentation. No one can say that Nathan would have wrote it just like John had written it, so it would have been obviously scripted for him. But he didn't actually want to do the presentation, which tells a little bit about his character, really, I think, more than anything, which is that, he wants to be the unsung hero at times. So, I've got to give him kudos for that, and for Nathan stepping up at the last minute to actually fill in and take the questions, which, to be fair, because it was logical fallacies, it was more of a case of there isn't that much to debate on logical fallacies, so it was kind of like a free-for-all from the chat, so people had free reign to literally just ask him anything, and I didn't hold back. I tried to ask every question that I saw in the chat, and there was quite a lot. I think he answered maybe 20 or 25. There was certainly, his toes were held to the fire on that show anyway, so he did well for that. Lines of longitude with BM4 furball. Did you see that?
Was that not the Jeranism one?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, I think I was pretty involved in that one, Randy.
I know. I'm trying to lead you in here. I'm trying to lead you in.
Yeah, I saw that, and again, I think a lot of ballers might think that sort of presentation is something new, something we haven't mapped out ourselves, something we haven't tried, calculated, looked at, along our flat earth journey as we confirm things and investigate things. These are some of the basics, and so I was surprised it was presented like that. It was it was funny how much Jaron was screwing in the chat.
Yeah.
He was not happy, but as it turned out, I think it was a good one for the flat earth.
Well, essentially, he miscalculated his distances, I believe. I think on one particular line he'd done it in miles, and then the other he'd done it in kilometres, and then I think he did it just in kilometres, but one of them was miles, or the other way around. But essentially, he got the wrong distances. However, he has done a retraction video. Have you had a chance to see that?
No, I've not seen it. Has he? What's he corrected?
Well, he's put some new details into it. I only watched like 2/3 of it because I was at work when I was trying to listen to it, so I didn't actually have it on and watching it at the same time. So I was trying to listen to it at the same time. But yeah, I only got to like 2/3 of the way through. Then I got a telephone call, and things cease, and then I just got bored and carried on working. Just one of those things. Then Nathan was on, so I put his on. So it was one of them. So I know that he's done a retraction video, and he seems to be quite confident that he's actually achieved something. So maybe he wants to come back and present that. I mean, the floor is open for him if he wants to do that. Although, one thing that you said that I didn't quite get, but because I haven't really looked into how you would measure things like this, but you were saying that he couldn't use trigonometry. He had to use a different way of measuring it because he was... I mean, help me out with that.
Okay. So when my first question was, he said in the chat, which made me question him, was he said he used basic trig, which is your SOHCAHTOA, sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, etc. Which is useful, but you have to be able to apply that for a right angled triangle. Now, what he described in his polar projections was the distance from any place on the Earth to the polar center, and basically he had two side lengths and one angle, which wasn't a right angle. There wasn't a right angle in the triangle. He just had two side lengths and the angle between those two side lengths, and you can't use basic trigonometry for that. You have to use an adapted form, which is called the law of cosines. Oh God, I hadn't got it prepared, but let me just type it up now, because I didn't say it just in case.
Well, the only reason I ask is, and don't quote me on this, but from what I listened to today, listening to like 2/3 of it, I'm pretty sure he still used trigonometry. So, I mean, I might be wrong, you know, but if that's the case, he's saying that if he has applied trigonometry again, it's still not going to be correct.
That would be my assertion, yeah, because you haven't got a right angled triangle, you can't use standard SOHCAHTOA trig. You have to use the law of cosines, so because you've only got one angle, okay, then it's a bit more of a complicated function. So, but the law of cosines enables you to do it quickly, and that's just the angle, the length you're looking for. So c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2 times ab cos the angle that he's measuring, and that's how you would calculate it mathematically, because you haven't got anything other than two side lengths and a random angle. So that's how you would calculate it I know he alluded to it being something to do with 3D trig, but it isn't. It's to do with calculating side lengths or angles when you've only got two known side lengths and an angle. That's what it's for. So if he hasn't used that, then I would suggest that his maths may again be incorrect.
Okay, fair enough. Do you want to talk a little bit about your presentation that you'll be doing tomorrow?
Well, yeah, that's got some basic trig in it. So
I would hope so.
Yeah, it's only a short little presentation, because I didn't know what to do, but this was the first thing that I kind of looked into. So hopefully be a little. I'm going to derive stuff from first principles, so hopefully you can understand how the formula is made up and why it is what it is. But also just give a little bit of understanding of the geometry, so you can argue the drop, etc. But I do think it's comparable to what's used in the metabunks and the likes. They don't show their workings out, but it does seem to be a very close number to it. So I'm happy to take on board any criticism with regards to it, and yeah, see how it goes. I'm more nervous about the question and answer afterwards than the pounding that John got, so we'll see.
Well, that's it. I mean, there's no hiding place when you're on this show, you know what I mean? And I think that's what's putting quite a lot of people off, more than anything, is like putting a presentation together sounds easy, yeah? I mean, it sounds like, oh yeah, it's just a presentation, it's not a problem. But it's the questions afterwards as well as. So what's proving, what I'm finding obviously through this show is that it is really difficult for people to put a presentation together. You know, one that's really nailed down, you know, because it just seems like we're not getting that at the minute. But, you know, I'm there to be proved wrong, hopefully. But Trevor Austin I think he's talking about you, that apparently you might be mathematically illiterate.
Yeah, it could be.
How about the second rule or the cosine laws? So he might not be talking to you, but I've seen that in the chat anyway.
Well, I'm not saying there aren't other methods of deriving it. What I was suggesting was if you applied standard trigonometry, then that would derive an incorrect value, is what I was saying. So yeah, of course there are other ways to calculate it.
So, quantum mechanics with right the hand. What's your feelings about that particular presentation?
It's a funny one. Because I'm a chemist. So atoms, electrons, protons, etc., in my head are always conceptualized as physical. Yeah, the funny thing about flat Earth journey, isn't it? It's you can't take anything for granted. I would probably, if asked to toss a coin, err on the side of a photon being just a physical thing. But it's a bit like when I always remember John Savage kind of challenging me about chemistry and stuff, and well, have you ever seen this? Have you ever seen a sodium atom? Have you ever seen any atom? And the answer is no. So as much as I think I understand it, I only have a concept in my head that seems to work in reality, and I think it's probably the same level of assurity that I could give to the quantum mechanics stuff. Now, that may be criticised by both sides, but I would mitigate with that. I don't profess to be a knowledge in this, and that's kind of why I was looking forward to a debate between the two of them, to kind of, hopefully in a civil manner, go through some of the more intricacies and argue the finer details between the two. You know, live. I thought that would be really interesting. So yeah. But yeah, that's my standpoint. Is I don't know.
Well, as we were discussing earlier, when you mentioned about protons, and you said that essentially nobody's actually ever filmed a proton. It's something that we've never been able to see. There can be diagrams of it, but diagrams are just cartoons, basically. There is no actual imagery, real imagery of a proton. So, you know, if we're going strictly by, I mean, let's go back into the to the flat Earth debates now. Well, when we talk about pictures from space and then being a composite, and Nathan refers to these as, you know, you might as well be in Narnia, you know. So, shouldn't we be applying the same thing to that with it being a proton? Shouldn't we say, well, there is no visual proof of this, so it should fall into the category of Narnia? Is that a fair way of saying it? Because
I think that's much too far. I think my criticism would be that the physical object, proposed physical object itself, can't be observed, yet with logic and reason we're ruling out it being a wave. It has to be. But you see, this is the thing, it's quantum mechanics, it's just a headbender, but it behaves like a wave, and it can be anywhere within that probability function at any time, and until you decide to measure. See, it's just, I think there's a lot of pretense as well with folks that they pretend they understand it, when I don't know. I don't think the top minds of quantum mechanics, the real top boffins, I think they would say that they don't understand it. I think that's the first. It's probably like Fight Club, isn't it? First rule of quantum mechanics is you don't understand quantum mechanics, because it is nonsensical, because we can't actually observe the inferences we're drawing. We're only taking that hit on the photo plate, or the tweak of a sensor or a path, but we're not actually directly observing. And I think that's the critique you could add. Like I say, I don't think I'd go into the realms of putting it into the here's a bit of CGI. It's not something that's CGI.
Saying that though, I mean, you could say the same about the Earth. I mean, we can feel the Earth, we can see the Earth. We just don't have pictures from it from space to know the shape of it, you know.
The bit that was tweaking me in that debate was the comparison to the Cavendish experiment. I thought that was interesting, you know, in terms of the phenomenon was conjured up in the experiment. I'd like to hear them two discuss that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, we've got Brenda. Brenda's going to step up to the plate. Brenda's going to be the salvation here. So John didn't want to do a rebuttal. Brenda's taking his place. So happy days. I mean, we might get a debate between those two. I mean, how do you think that would go? And the reason I want to say this is because I know Brenda comes in and she has an opinion on particles and physics and stuff like this. It seems like she has some knowledge, but we've never been able to have her come on and do a presentation because she's always got shut down. So it will be interesting to actually see what she brings, you know, because we've seen what Quantum Eraser can do with his presentations. He's done so many. But with Brenda, we've never actually seen her go from start to finish on a presentation. So I think it'll be very interesting to see what she can bring. You know, what can she bring to the table, you know?
Yeah, I look forward to any of the presentation, mate. Ball or flat, it doesn't matter.
Or concave.
It'll be interesting. Or concave. Or hollow.
Hollow, yeah, I was just about to say that. I need to change the introduction to have hollow as well. I actually like the idea of a hollow earth for some reason. I just, you know, I mean, to me, you know, yeah, go to the, yeah, it's hollow, yeah, go down there. I mean, who knows, you know, I mean, our imaginations can take us anywhere, I suppose.
Less of a paradigm shift, it's still a ball. That's why you like it.
So, right, okay, so I think we've been through the 4 this week. Which one would you say was the most complete presentation? We had the logical fallacies. I mean, we're going to have to give a winner this week. So we've got logical fallacies with Nathan /QE, lines of longitude by BM Furball, the solar Analemma by Crow XE, and quantum mechanics by Right the Hand. Which one do you think had the most work put into it and came across as the best presentation?
Oh, that's a tough one, that is, isn't it? I mean, the BM was obviously wrong, and therefore we've got to rule that out, because he's had to issue his own retraction, so we don't have to critique it, so that rules it out. The solar Analemma, I thought, was odd. We're not really discussed that. I didn't think that.
Yeah, I mean,
really...
fire, if you want to talk about that, that's great. Fire away.
I'll send you a little picture of that.
Oh, that's
because
right.
Again,
yeah.
Again, it's one of those things that you look at on the beginning of your flat Earth journey, and an Analemma is an interesting thing. Dave Marsh has done some great work with the lunar lemma. And the likes, and there was something that I struggled to get in my head, and that's why I built that big huge polystyrene foam circle and kind of made these rotational points just to see, you know, the kind of shapes it would map out, both rotating the zodiac and the path of the sun. And you know, I didn't think his presentation proved anything. He just matched up it was a beautiful spreadsheet. I do like a nice spreadsheet, you know, but it was kind of a backworked thing, and you know, the Analemma was known, you know, it's used by navigators, and was well known for millennia, particularly when navigators are using an astrolabe, which is a flat projection disc. So I don't think that presentation actually brought anything to show that an Analemma was proof of a globe. He did match his numbers up, but the numbers match up perfectly well in an almanac with regards to an Analemma as well. And you know, those almanacs are where NASA get all their data from. So I don't think there was anything either way on that. It was just a nice spreadsheet. So spreadsheet of the week for definite.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the one thing I would say is with the presentation, I asked if he'd modelled it on a flat Earth or a concave, and he said that he hadn't put the same data into anything other than a globe model. So, you know, I mean, being critical, if I was going to be a little bit critical, I would say that, if you're just going to test one thing and you're not going to test the other, and then just claim that because you've tested one thing and it works, then the other two must be incorrect. I don't think it's thorough enough. It would have been interesting to see if it'd done the same data and plotted it out on both flat models and the concave to see whether that to see whether or not it worked on them too. So
it does work on a flat model, and the reason for the figure of the 8 is the left to right motion is the interchange of the difference between the 24-hour and 23.58 hour day, and the up and down motion is the travelling of the sun between the two equinoxes, between the two tropics. So that's what then paints your 8 in the sky on a flat Earth. It's the same data. There's no more proof for that. It's still just drawing a backwork in a conclusion from the pattern in the sky. It's exactly the same, but it works just the same.
Okay.
The bottom of your 8 is winter. That's why if you're in the North Pole, you don't get a full analemma.
Right. Well, so that leaves us with two presentations. We have Right the Hand and we have Nathan's. So, of the two, I mean, do we include Nathan's, seeing as it was more of a QE presentation? By virtue.
I think that's got to be disqualified solely on the grounds that it doesn't fit your criteria. I'm trying to be harsh here, but fair.
Yeah.
I think so. I'd have to go with Right the Hand, mate. And because it has, also, I think, instigated the most debate as well, I think, terms of, Yeah,
it's definitely been heated. I mean, it was heated yesterday in the chat. It's been heated on the comments on the video afterwards. I mean, I think there's over 300 comments on there already, so it's certainly flying. So it's a subject that a lot of people have a lot of opinion upon. So, Right the Hand, my friend. You get a round of applause for the best presentation of the week. However, the reigning champion is Gem Panda. So, in comparison to Gem Panda's, has he done enough to wrestle the belt from Gem Panda? I mean, I don't think so.
No, mate. Gem Panda's not losing his title till next week after my presentation. So, I think Gem keeps it this week. Yeah, definitely still the best quality product all round. Gem's still.
So, well, so you're assuming tomorrow that your presentation is going to be better than Gem Panda's?
Oh, it's awesome, mate. It's got. I've drawn circles in paint.
Really?
Yeah, there's some nice primary coloured lines, some real powerful use of PowerPoint. No, mine's just like a little thing, really. Of course, I'm involved in the voting, so there is a chance I could overthrow him, but probably not on merit.
Yeah. Well, the thing is as well, I mean, we're not saying that Gem Panda's done the best presentation as in we believe what he said. What we're saying is that for the effort that was put in and the presentation that was put forth, the amount of work that went into it and the production value was more exceptional than anything that's happened thus far. So, I think that's what we're trying. Let's clarify that. I mean, we completely disagree with what Gem Panda said. We don't believe he went to the moon. But for a presentation, it looked good. It flowed. He had a start, a beginning, and an end. It was quite a length as well, which was good. And it was easy to understand, walk through. Yeah, it was great. Great presentation. So if anybody's watching and you want to watch that presentation again, if you want to stick your fingers in your ears and don't listen to it, just watch the production value because it was just really good. So if you guys are going to do a presentation in the future, that's the kind of thing you need to step up to and do something like that. Right. So next week, I think, I'm not for sure, but I think I've got 2 spots already booked, which means that I do have 2 spots available. So I'll be looking for a flat earther and a globe earther to fill the other 2 spots. So I'm not going to say for sure what days are available yet because I don't know for certain, but I do know that there are 2 presentations going next week. So, Flat Earth, Globe Earth, what's this? Spurs Chemo, up and coming gas presentation, and must see live here on Ranty Flat Earth. Wait till you see what I have for you. Excellent. Well, it looks like Spurs Chemo has stepped up to the plate. He's just now claimed the last Flat Earth spot, so that leaves 1 Globe Earth spot for next week. So unless we get let down by anybody, I'm looking for 1 Globe Earther to put a presentation for next week, bring it to the table, 1 topic inside of the Flat Earth debate. As I say, it doesn't have to be a Glober, it could be a Hollow Earther, let's say that. Let's call out the Hollow Earthers. It could be a Hollow Earther if they want to. So email me, ranty@rantyflatearth.com. Yes, Spurs Chemo, it is. You've booked it. And Larmel Johnson puts quality over quantity. No, quality over quantity. Indeed, Larmel Johnson, yeah. It's always nice to watch a good presentation. So, right, so I think that's it. I think we need a little bit of music. What do you say, Adam? And then maybe come back for another 5-minute chat before and put a bit of gravity on. What do you say?
It's a lovely summer's evening. Always had time for a tune, mate. So, yeah, I'll mute up and have a listen.
We're up pretty high, our heads are almost in the clouds, and their feet are chained to the ground with their chains of misery.
I love that song. I know people get a bit sick of hearing it, but I just love it. Absolutely love that song. So go and check it out. Cheyenne, Defy Gravity. Brilliant song. We've got
shout out John Savage on that. I hope you enjoyed that, John.
Write the hands in chat. So I just want to ask him if he can give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. When Brenda does this presentation tomorrow, which is clearly going to be against his position about the video he did yesterday, is he willing to get into a debate with Brenda von Assen? So we'll wait to see what he says about that. And Spurs chemo. I mean, I've been speaking with Spurs the last couple of weeks. We had a telephone call recently, and about pressure and stuff. Do you understand where he's coming from with his what we can assume is going to be his presentation about pressure?
Yeah, not the foggiest, mate.
Oh right, you've not caught up on.
No,
it.
not the foggiest clue what Spurs is on about. I don't understand. Me and him had a chat on Nathan's show, so no, I don't understand the point he's trying to make. So a presentation will be good because it's a sit down and you can start to finish explain his concept, and I'll listen intently because we were talking about one thing and I clearly we were at misguided points because the point I'm pretty sure I'm confident I was correct on, and he didn't then challenge me back, so I must have been addressing something else. So yeah, I look forward to seeing it. I assume, is it this temperature relation to pressure, or?
Yeah, I think it's something to do with, he believes that what we think is pressure is actually more to do with our sensations of telling the difference between hot and cold. I mean, he's quite bullish in the chat right now, so maybe he's found something since I've last spoke to him. But for a lot of people, that idea that, I mean, I can understand where he's coming from about pressure. I can understand, because we are just told that it's 14.7 psi. That's what we're told, and we just believe it. And because the machine shows it as 14.7, how do we know that it's measuring what it's measuring? And how do we know that
it's arbitrary? It's an arbitrary. It's a scale. It doesn't really matter. Call it 4, call it 10. It doesn't really matter. The point is, you either trust that the machine works in that it measures whatever it's measuring as, and you're defining as pressure. And when you go to different altitudes, that pressure is different. Now, if he's disputing the fact that the machine works, that's a wholly separate conversation. But if all you're talking about is it 14.7, well, it's like temperature, isn't it? Is it Kelvin? Is it Fahrenheit? Is it Celsius? They've all got different arbitrary numbers assigned to them in that scale, but they're all the same actual temperature.
So I think obviously exploring what we've been told at school, and taking a step back and saying, okay, well, we've been told that this is what pressure is, and this is what pressure does, and this is how we measure it. And I think what Spurs is doing is he's taking a leaf out of what flat earthers have done with the shape of the earth. He's looked at a problem and he's thought to himself, okay, well, maybe we're doing the formula wrong. So the formula says this is how we measure pressure, but what happens if I do a tweak here and a tweak there and I measure it in a different way? I might be able to explain things differently and it might work better. So I'm interested to see what he's coming up with. It's again with right the hand with his presentation about quantum mechanics. Again, it's taking that step back and being able to look at things slightly differently and ask questions, because if we don't ask questions, we're never going to understand. We're never going to understand everything. There's so many different things that we know we've been lied to. So it's just somebody taking their own tangent and going off somewhere else and just checking it out. And I'll be happy to present what he's got, because if nobody's seen this before and nobody's thought about it before, but Spurs Chemo clearly has, and he's put a lot of effort into it. Some people might just say there's something there, or we might all as a community just say, hey, that's just wrong, Spurs, and then he'll just have to accept that. Well, he won't have to accept it, but you know what I mean? He will get the feelings from ourselves that that's what we believe. But unless you ask these questions, it was like me originally with the inferior mirage. Nobody believed anything I was talking about with the inferior mirage. They thought I was showing Earth curve. It took a long time and a lot of persuasion and a lot of evidence to convince people, hey, this isn't on water that we're seeing. It's atmospheric. So it was validation for me. So we've all got to start somewhere and ask questions, So I'm happy to present people like that, especially with Spurs, because I've met him in real life too, and he's a great guy. So he is.
As a top, I've not met Spurs, but top player. I'd like to say it'll be interesting to listen to his point uninterrupted and fully explained, because I think the last time it certainly wasn't a presentation. Do you know what I mean? So when's that? Is that next week?
It'll be next week. Yeah, he's literally just claimed it now, so I'll have to figure out a day with him and get it sorted out. But we'll see what he's got. See what he brings. See what he brings to the table. I like that idea. I like that. What can you bring to the table? What table? The round table.
What, Ranty's flat Earth round table?
Well, it's not a flat Earth round table, is it? It's a round table. Nobody can sit at the head of the table. It's equal footing for everybody. It doesn't matter where you pull your chair up on the table, you will always be at the head. And as long as it's your show to do your presentation, the floor's yours. I mean, you're the master of your own domain, kind of thing. Once you're on that stage, your audience is here. There's 100 people watching. That's 100 people watching your presentation, and then you have to defend your position. Once you've done your presentation, and the presentation's up for debate, literally with people in the chat, they can tear you a new one if they want, or they can applaud you. That's what it's all about. It's a case of, let's get these things on the table. What do we agree on? What do we disagree on? What things need refining? And when we get down to the debates, it may be that there's one question that one person fails on quite poorly, but answers the other four really well. And then down the line, somebody else might be able to come along and fill in that gap. That one question that the person didn't know, somebody else might actually be able to defend that position, and then suddenly you've got concrete answers for all 5 points of the debate. So this is what we want. It's a case of, we're doing this to get to an end point at some point, hopefully, and let's see where this journey takes us. But we need people from the chat to email me at ranty@rantyflatearth.com. Send me an email if you've got a presentation. It's no good just saying things in the chat. I can see a lot of people saying things in the chat like they know a lot of things. Well, clearly there are people that know things in the chat, so hey, write an email, do a presentation, show everybody else, if you know this stuff, teach us. We're here to be taught. You can be the lecturer for that particular session. So you've got the opportunity here. There's no excuses for you to be saying stuff in the chat when you've got a whole platform here to come along in anonymity, if you wish, and do a presentation and tell everybody how smart you are, because ultimately that's the only way we're going to learn, with your input. So I think that'll do for this show. So tune in tomorrow, 6 p.m. BST. So we are looking at a little over 20 hours from now, and then in 23 hours from now, so 9 p.m. BST, we'll have the one and only Adam Meakin doing his presentation. So Brenda and Adam tomorrow, I will see you tomorrow. And as for this show, we'll wrap it up, and we will see you all in the next. Anything you want to say, Adam, before you go?
No, looking forward to tomorrow, and I'll see you in there. And be kind, chat. Be kind.
Be kind. Be kind. Don't rip him a new one. Rip him a new one. See you later, guys.
Bye, everyone.